It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Maloney.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ, a business variety show, a little something different each and every morning as I talk to different business owners, entrepreneurs, political and community leaders about what they are doing to make a difference in and around the Tampa Bay and surrounding communities. As always, take a moment to peruse and check out my website, tampabayradio.com. Over there, all shows available on demand via the show info button. Also, you can see all the guests that have been on the show via the guest network tab on the homepage. And also, you'll notice I sell real estate on the website. I do work for Coldwell Banker in the Tampa region. Been in business over 8 years or so and specialize in the sale of bank-owned property. So it's an excellent resource for all the activities in real estate in there, or I should say all the listings in the Tampa Bay region, again, over at tampabayradio.com. And also to all of my listeners, I always offer a free home valuation to any and all of my listeners. Just click on the Sell Your Home link on the homepage, and I'll get you over a free home valuation, typically within 24 to 48 business hours. And we need to get some inventory out there on the market. The market very competitive right now, and you may be surprised what your home's worth. It's a seller's market out there. Prices getting bid up each and every day, and I deal with multiple offers every single day. So very competitive out there. If you have any inkling of putting your home on the market, now is a great time to do so, and definitely want to reach out to me, a top listing agent across the country, nationally ranked, both on the Wall Street Journal list for national for all the brokers across the nation, top 100, and also within Coldwell Banker, nationally ranked at number 4 last year in homes sold. So excellent resource for real estate in the area, as well as my show, That Business Show, each and every morning here on 1250 WHNZ. Joined in studio this morning by my lovely co-host, Stella Giudicelli, also a realtor with Coldwell Banker and a great friend and number one fan of the show as well. Stella, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Jamie. Good morning to our listeners. Yes, you're right. I'm actually seeing that a lot. I've been dealing with sellers and buyers, and what I see too is how sellers do overprice their properties sometimes, and it's actually very detrimental to them at that point when they do that, because buyers do still look at comps, and so I'm having some issues right now on a property where
but if they're priced right, they're going quick. Yeah, they're going quick right now. So,
but if they price too above, they're staying too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When the prices are priced right, they go quickly, because there is still a lot of overpriced stuff on the market. But hey, there's some people getting some outrageous values out there right now. I see it each and every day. 1,400 some sales in the book for myself, and I've seen it all. Seen it all across the Tampa Bay real estate market. But yeah, definitely a competitive market out there nonetheless. But hey, it's Wednesdays. Let's not forget though, it's Working Women Wednesdays.
It's feature. A special day.
Yeah, and it's actually one day ahead of the Working Women Conference that we keep talking about each and every Wednesday. But yeah, Wednesdays, Working Women Wednesdays, brought to us by the Working Women of Tampa Bay Networking Group. Learn more about them at workingwomenoftampabay.com. And on the phone line with me, as always, Jessica Ravelli, CEO and founder of the group. Jessica, good morning.
Good morning, Jamie and Stella. How are you?
Doing great, Excellent. Great. You've got to be excited. Tomorrow starts the Working Women Conference, right?
Yeah. It's just 24 hours away, and we're super excited. It's finally here after 6 months of planning. We've got people coming in from out of town, like our keynote speaker coming in from Philadelphia. So, yep, the countdown is on.
Yeah, you got about 10 tickets left for the conference. Again, this is being held tomorrow and the 11th at the Straws Center, but you have 10 tickets left, correct?
Yeah, we have about 10 general admission tickets left. All the VIP went a couple of weeks ago, but just in case someone wants to sneak in on Thursday or Friday, if they just want to come on Friday and hear the speakers, there are 10 tickets left. So,
right. Tell the listeners about what they're going to expect at the conference and why they need to attend. I mean, this is going to be a great networking event. You've got many influential speakers and many influential business leaders from across the Bay Area that's going to be at this thing. But sell this to the listeners for you.
Yeah, so it's a 2-day event. Tomorrow night is a networking reception, and then Friday is a full day of education from 8 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've got 25 different women who will either speak or be on panels. So, I think what's so amazing about that is you hear so many different perspectives and stories, and how did they become entrepreneurs, or why did they make the leap to entrepreneurship, which is, Linda Bonzen is one of your guests today, and she's going to talk. She's one of our speakers, but she's also going to talk about that, I'm sure, today on the radio. But it's very inspiring, very motivational, And it's a great way that if you're in a rut in your career, or maybe you're just looking for a little bit of inspiration to kind of take you to the next level, whether it's in your business or your career, that's what that Friday will do for you. We're really excited about the 25 speakers that will be either, like I said, they're either doing a presentation or they're on a panel. So, yeah, I think it'll be wonderful, and I think anyone listening, this morning would love to be a guest.
Yeah, it's something I'm very much looking forward to. Heck, I've been talking about it since back in February with you, or about March or so when we brought on the Working Women Wednesdays. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Very excited about it. You got a number of great speakers, a lot of them who have been through the show as well. So, also, I saw that the Working Women of Tampa Bay had a nice write-up in the Times last Friday. Talk to the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Ernest Hooper, fantastic columnist for the Times, really one of the, their gems over there, came to me about a week or two ago and had asked if he could, not only share information about the conference, but talk about, why Working Women started and what is our mission and what, how have we had such successes that we've had over the last 6 years. So that appeared Friday in the Times, and you can also catch it online, so if someone missed it. But we're really thankful for, to Ernest for sharing our story, sharing my story, and talking about, what it is we do for working women and why is it that we're so passionate about women connecting with one another and women helping one another. So it really was a great, example of what we do.
Yeah. Well, you've got a great organization, a great group, and I'm very proud to be a part of that, through the radio show each and every Wednesdays here on Working Women Wednesdays. And again, the conference being held tomorrow and the 11th at the Straw Center. 10 tickets still available. You can pick up these conference tickets at workingwomenconference.com. And also, if you use promo code Maloney2015, you can get 10% off of those tickets. So again, visit workingwomenconference.com and get one of those tickets before they go fast. Jessica, as always, thank you very much for checking in and being supporting the show through Working Women Wednesdays.
Thanks, Jamie, and we'll see you later this week.
Absolutely. And again, Jessica Ravelli, CEO and founder of the Working Women of Tampa Bay Networking Group. Learn more about her and her organization at workingwomenoftampabay.com. Time to bring on my first guest for this show. Tracey Metzger is the executive director and co-founder of For the Girls International, whose mission is to grow a company of women of all ages and walks of life that are not willing to settle for anything less than everything that God has for them. Tracey, welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Tracey, first of all, let's talk a little bit more about what For the Girls International is. Tell me about how this organization got started and a little bit more about its mission.
Okay. Well, I always like to say it was born out of my mini midlife crisis. So the first few events.
I thought that only happened to men.
Yeah. No. I always I opened the first few events that we had saying, "Welcome to my midlife crisis." But it was born out of a time of darkness for me. I had gone through a battle with depression, and when I was hitting 40, just around turning 40, and I think it was a little bit of that identity crisis of I had raised my children, and I had always worked a little bit part-time, but didn't have, I was a mom. And I think I just kind of got to a point, my oldest was graduating, and I was starting to see the writing on the wall that my role was changing. And so I think, as many women do, we go through these different seasons of life, and our identity gets attached to those different seasons that we're in. So I think mine was getting rocked a little bit, and then I had some trauma from my past that was kind of surfacing, as that happens sometimes as we get older. And I just went through a time of really just depression, and I had a great husband, I had a great life, a great family, and I don't think people from the outside would have seen that on, about me. So I just started thinking, as I went through that season, I thought there are a lot of people out there that I would look at and say they must have it all together, but they really are suffering inside. And so I think a lot of us put on a brave face and try to kind of just keep pushing through. And so I started just envisioning, and I believe it was an inspiration, a godly inspiration, to see an atmosphere where women could share their stories and be a little bit more transparent about the struggles that they go through in order to encourage each other and just say, you're going to make it. And so we just started having gatherings, and I started telling my story, and it just started inspiring, and it just developed into a broader thing where now our mission is to awaken purpose, ignite passion, and mobilize women.
Okay, so it's a faith-based, I don't want to call it necessarily a support group, right?
It's not really a support group. It's more of an encouraging, cheering you on group. It's a networking group in a sense. We have a couple, different things that we do. We have quarterly gatherings called Girls Nights Out, and that's the whole woman. We're inspiring you spiritually, and just to, we're kind of inspired by the verse in the Bible that talks about each of us running our own race and running with perseverance and endurance. And sometimes we need other people around us to support us and cheer us on in that race. And, I had tripped up and sort of fallen flat on my face at one point. And I had sisters and friends that were like, no, you can get up and you can keep going. And so we wanted to extend that out. Some people don't have that. And even if they do, sometimes you just need to hear a different voice in your life. So we started creating these girls' nights out where someone could come, like our one coming up is called Anchored, and it's just talking about having that place where are you centered. So we just started creating girls' nights out quarterly where people could come together, and it is faith-based, but it crosses all the denominational lines. We focus on what we have in common, which is loving God and loving people. And so we have the opportunity to invite people from all different denominations to come. Anybody really that's interested is welcome to be there.
Okay. Got to take a quick break, but
Sure.
I'm currently talking with Tracey Metzger. She is the executive director and co-founder for the Girls International. Coming back from the break, I want to talk with you a little bit more about your battle with depression, how you overcame it, and also a little bit more about the organization For the Girls International, as I also, battle with depression and anxiety, and I've talked about that a number of times on my show. So I'm curious about how you handled that and how the organization has also helped you, grow and get through that, debilitating, disorder or disease, I should say. You're currently listening to the Working Women Wednesdays feature of That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Have you considered a reverse mortgage as part of your retirement financial plan? For homeowners age 62 or older, a reverse mortgage from Access Reverse Mortgage is a safe, economical way to turn your home's equity into cash or monthly income. Access Reverse Mortgage is a family-owned company based right here in the Tampa Bay area for the past 10 years. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau and Florida's leading reverse mortgage provider. Call 727-347-0305 or go to accessreverse.com to start your research today. NMLS number 4566. That's 727-347-0305.
Are you looking for a local real estate firm that knows the market and has your interests in mind? Then contact Jim McPeak at McPeak Real Estate Firm, a family-owned business whose agents have over 60-plus years of experience in the Tampa Bay market. Many of the agents are military veterans that know the VA process for buying a home and are proud to help our military members in any way they can. From residential to commercial real estate, McPeak Real Estate Firm is here to help. Contact Jim at 813-495-3875 and learn more at McPeakTeam.com.
Help promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 Wins WHNZ to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where he promotes what is right with our community and highlights the successes of our entrepreneurs. Show contributor openings also available. You can learn more about the show and how to become part of this growing network at TampaBayRadio.com. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Maloney of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
That's big delays in St. Petersburg, northbound 275 from downtown to just before Gandy Boulevard, where there's a crash off to the right-hand side. In Hudson, one lane blocked on southbound US 19 at Arapika Road. Eastbound Tampa Road, it's very slow between Curlew and Forest Lakes due to a crash. Southbound Veterans, very slow, still from Hutchinson to Waters. And southbound 56th Street still very slow from Sly to Hillsborough. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Udurk Hillsborough traffic tip line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. The Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is the top choice of doctors, nurses, and other health professionals nationwide. Now, it can be your choice too. The Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Get yours at your local Club Warehouse and other fine retailers today.
Today, just a 20% chance of showers and storms, high 91. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 79. Tomorrow, a 20% rain chance, high 90.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. Learn more about this show over at TampaBayRadio.com. Also, it's Working Women Wednesdays, a weekly feature brought to us by the Working Women of Tampa Bay Networking Group. Learn more about them at WorkingWomenOfTampaBay.com. And also, 10 tickets still left for the Working Women Conference being held tomorrow and the 11th at the Strauss Center. Visit WorkingWomenConference.com and use promo code Maloney2015 to get 10% off of those tickets. Currently talk with Tracey Metzger, Executive Director and co-founder of For the Girls International. And Tracey, in that last segment there, you're talking about how you overcame depression and, to launch this organization. But depression is something that you live with your entire life, correct?
Yeah. Overcame is probably a stretch, because I think if you do have that predisposition that, I'm sure that some people miraculously, it goes away forever. But I definitely am someone that always struggled with ups and downs. And then I had that kind of major crisis with depression that I did end up on medication for, but now I've come through that, off the medication. And
was this a late onset of depression? Was this something that you battled earlier in your life?
Is this? I think that I've always had a little bit of that melancholy personality that overthinks things and very sensitive. But I think for me, I had a traumatic incident when I was 26. My mom was in a really bad car accident and suffered a traumatic brain injury that she had lived with for 21 years in a nursing home, pretty much incapacitated, unable to eat or speak or feed herself. And so living with that trauma for 21 years, I think for me, I stuffed that down. I'm very much just keep going. And there's a point where if you keep ignoring trauma in your life and don't deal with that, sometimes it manifests itself in your body. And that's, I believe, what happened for me. So that was the crash and burn, time. But since then, I do still have those ups and downs. So it is something I still have to manage. But that major, episode was probably was what For the Girls was born out of.
I like how you look at it as there's something you can do about it. Like the way you speak at it is like, it's happening, you're accepting it. And it's not like you're undergoing it. It's
right. It's happening to you, but it's not. It's not you. It's not who I am. One of my fears with sharing my story about depression is that the stigma that is attached to that. That all of a sudden people look at you. No one wants to be thought of as this person who's rolled in a ball in their bed crying. And that is the reality sometimes. That's what depression does. But once you are able to expose it, I think there's a certain amount of shame attached with depression. And so when you expose that and you say, hey, this is what has happened to me, but I still function. I still have a life. There's still so much good. It just opens up. It's not a secret anymore. And I think it just kind of, the shame of it makes it worse.
Yeah. How did the organization then, For the Girls International, how did that, bring you out of the, the bouts of depression? Tell me how this group has helped you.
Yeah, I believe that that giving back, and when you get outside of yourself and you start focusing on other people, is a real pathway to healing. And I believe it's a biblical principle. It even, it talks about that in the Bible, how when you reach out and you're helping other people, that your healing comes through that. And so it gives you something else to focus on. You can't ignore the things that you need to take care of. I also did counseling, and for a time period I was on medication, and I had to do a lot of things that, to help myself in that way. But they're just the very simple act of giving and thinking of someone other than myself and getting outside of myself helped tremendously in that aspect.
A very great story. Myself, I battled depression and anxiety. I still battle it to this day. People are surprised to hear that I actually have an anxiety disorder, doing radio, live radio every single morning. And I also did stand-up comedy back in the day with an anxiety disorder.
Wow.
It struck me in my early 20s. My family has it. My brother and mother suffer from it quite severely. I never had an issue with it until my early 20s, and then just out of the blue, anytime I left a comfort zone, a safe place as I called it, my house or my job, I started to feel tense. I didn't feel right. And I thought I had a heart problem because I had all these weird feelings centered around my chest. And so I went to every single doctor imaginable. I had every single heart test imaginable done on me, upper GI done, all these different things. And I started to think I was just a hypochondriac. All right, here I am in now the doctor's offices every single week. And finally, I had to come to the realization that I have anxiety disorder, and they, put me on a Buspar, and I ended up getting worse from that. And then they put me on Xanax, and then that took care of it. But I also noticed that every time I would go out to the clubs and do comedy, if I drank about 3 or 4 beers, and it would go away. I noticed, okay, I've got anxiety here because if I had a heart problem, beer isn't going to make that go away.
And I for a long time, chased different physical things because depression manifests itself in your body too. And so I had exhaustion, fatigue. I was on thyroid medicine and, adrenal fatigue. And, they diagnosed all these things until I realized, oh my goodness, it's actually depression. And it was hard to come to terms with that. But once I did, I knew what I was dealing with.
Yeah. And I ended up battling it through, exercise is what took care of it for me. I had lost about 30, 40 pounds or so, got into the gym. And I can remember the first time I got on the treadmill, I was so scared of getting, the treadmill up because I thought I was going to have a heart attack. My brain had been so programmed, on this anxiety or that I had a heart problem that I was afraid to run on the treadmill. And for the first couple of times on the treadmill, I was scared to death. I really was. It was so weird, but I got over it. And to this day, I'm not on any medication. I get an occasional anxiety attack here and there, but yeah, it's definitely a unique disease, and it affects a lot of people out there to some degrees. People just don't realize the degree to which it affects people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, your mission statement here, is to, theme for the year, Better Together. Talk to me a little bit more about this.
Yeah. Every year we have a different theme. We've had, a brave theme and different things. But this year, and it's just kind of a funny story. I was driving down the road listening to the Beatles song Come Together, and I was listening to that song, and I thought, this is what I feel like is something that's happening with women. Just Jessica Ravelli and Working Women of Tampa Bay is a perfect example of that. Of women coming together and supporting each other, breaking down the barriers of comparison and, competing with each other, and rather saying like, hey, let's get together and actually build each other up and connect with each other and see how we can help each other in our own race. And so that's how we kind of approach everything. We feel like everybody has a race to run and they have their own lane, and we encourage women not to be looking at the person next to them, whether they're further ahead or further behind, but just to be cheering each other on and how can I help you get further along in your journey. And so listening to Come Together, we were kind of I was going to move towards that theme. And then I just thought, we're better together. We're better when we are all together, encouraging each other on our journey. And so that became the theme, which is actually really going to just translate into a new tagline for us. We have a network of business women and entrepreneurs that like to infuse their faith into their business and into their workplace. And so we're going to be calling that the Better Together Network. And it's just that whole idea. It's really what we stand for. It's just encouraging and being better together.
How many members do you have in your group?
We have over 100 members, but we have over 1,000 people that have come through our events in the past 7 years that we've been in
Beautiful.
existence.
Is there a fee?
There is a fee for to become a member. It's really more of a partnership because we're a nonprofit, so it's a donation to really say that you're partnering with us, and it's just $50 for an individual or $99 for a business. And if a business wants to be a member, then they have their logo on our website, which is under construction at the moment, but you can visit us on our Facebook page. But yeah, we love to encourage people to partner with us for what we're doing.
Yeah, your Facebook page, facebook.com/For the Girls International. Got about 30, 40 seconds left here to the bottom of our break. But Tracey, real fast, talk to me about how the Working Women of Tampa Bay Networking Group has helped your organization.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Jessica herself is such an inspiration to me. And I think one of the things I was so impressed by her. I was following her kind of, stalker-ish, I guess, because I'm creating a network of women, and we have our own niche because it is faith-based, but I'm watching her and what she does and how she builds. And next thing I know, she's requesting a friend. I was kind of like, should I try to reach out to her? And she requested my friendship and said, hey, I love seeing what you're doing, and let's get together for coffee. And she just, her heart to encourage women is just amazing. And so being plugged in with that network's been just amazing.
Great story. Tracey Metzger, Executive Director and co-founder of For the Girls International. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tile, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Arena. Register today at fallstampede.com. See you there.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Northbound 275 in St. Petersburg, still very slow from before downtown to around Gandy Boulevard. It's all due to a crash just past 54th Avenue North off to the right-hand side. Also the Howard Franklin Bridge, still a bit slow into Tampa. Have a crash in Largo along southbound Keene at Rosary. And over in Tampa, we still have delays along southbound 56th Street at Hillsborough and in Hudson, US 19 southbound at Arapica Road. See traffic problems, call the injury firm of Abraham Son and Udork Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Subway.
Head to Subway and start your day the flavorful way by adding new guacamole to your favorite breakfast sandwich. Perfectly made from Haas avocados with a hint of jalapeno. Their guacamole turns up the flavor to your breakfast. Try it today on a hot and toasty bacon, egg, and cheese. Subway, eat fresh.
1250 winds, weather center forecasts. High today, around 90, few low 90s in the warmer spots. Mix of sun and clouds, picking up with cloud cover in the afternoon. Seasonable rain chance around 30%. Expect those to be mainly east of I-75, then a few drift back towards the coast in the evening with a low in the upper 70s. Impact Radio 1250 winds, WHNZ.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 winds, WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome back to the program, everybody, and thanks for staying tuned in to the Working Women Wednesdays feature of That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Again, this show airs weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ. It's a business variety show, a little something different each and every morning as I talk to different business owners, entrepreneurs, political and community leaders about what they're doing to make a difference in and around the Tampa Bay region. Also, as always, I extend an invite to all of my listeners out there. If you have any interest in appearing on the show is always looking for guests, always looking for partners. Send me a message. Let me know what it is that you're doing in the community, a little bit about yourself, your organization, or your business. And let me know why you'd like to come on the show. I'm always, again, looking for material and love to hear from the listeners each and every morning. Best way to get me, send me a message to my contact form over at TampaBayRadio.com. I currently talk with Tracey Metzger, Executive Director and co-founder of For the Girls International. And Tracey, you have an upcoming event that you want to talk to the listeners about?
We do, yeah. We have our Fall Girls Night Out, which is going to be October 19th. It's a Monday night at Ruth Eckerd Hall in the Margaret Hay Room. And we would love to invite anybody that's interested in coming. It's called Anchored. And the topic of the evening is going to be just weathering those storms in life and how we can stay anchored and centered.
Okay. And for the listeners out there, who is the ideal member, or who are you looking for to join the organization? So go ahead and give your pitch out there to people to help grow your organization.
Sure, yeah. Anybody that is interested in just being encouraged on their journey of life, really. It's a pretty broad range. We have women. It's mostly, I know the name is a little bit misleading, but it's mostly for adult women. For our conferences, we do have some girls' events that we put on, but we were inspired by the Martina McBride song, We're All the Same Inside, from 1 to 99. So that song, this one's for the girls. That's where the name came from. But yeah, anybody who's just wants to be encouraged in their journey of life and inspired. We also have business monthly networking meetings for women in business. We have 2 a month, so that's something else that they can find on our Facebook page and information on that.
Okay, and again, it's facebook.com/For the Girls International, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so please, listeners, check out her Facebook page. Please like it and help support the show. And again, Tracey Metzger, Executive Director and Co-Founder of For the Girls International. Time to bring on my next guest for this show. Linda Bond has been a TV news reporter for the past 15 years, sharing important information with viewers on the latest medical breakthroughs and writing emotional human interest stories on those who have the courage and spirit to fight for their lives. She has won 12 Emmy Awards and Society of Professional Journalists Awards and Associated Press Awards, as well as a Florida Bar Award and Edward R. Murrow Award. Today, she is the author of her recently released book, Cuba Undercover, and she'll be talking about that today with us today. Linda, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Jamie, for having me.
So many of our listeners may know you as Linda Hurtado, though, correct?
Yes. I've been a TV news reporter and anchor in the Tampa Bay area for about 20 years now. And so most people do know me by the name Linda Hurtado. But when I decided to pursue this dream of mine to become a published author, I decided I'd take a pen name because I didn't want anyone to mix up, what Linda Hurtado writes, which was usually health stories or human interest stories, kind of taking action for you type stories, with what Linda Bond writes, which are romantic thrillers, which are like, picture James Bond meets Romancing the Stone, if you remember that movie. So they're kind of fun adventures. And I chose the name Bond because it was my mother's maiden name. And believe it or not, my uncle is James Bond. He's just not the handsome movie actor.
Just not the James Bond everybody knows from the
he was actually a professor, a law professor. But I thought, Bond fits what I write. They're action-adventure thrillers. And so that's how I came up with the name Linda Bond.
It's a great last name.
It is. It's a great pen name. Yeah. So tell me about Cuba Undercover then, your latest book here. Tell me the synopsis of this book.
Well, this is how I got the idea for Cuba Undercover. It always really seemed to stem from my job as a TV news reporter. And when the Pope went in 1995, or was it 98, to visit Cuba for the first time and meet with Fidel Castro, ABC Action News sent me over there. And I was trying to find some human interest stories to do leading up to that. And I met this family called the Figueredos. And it was a mother and father who were going back after 30 years to Cuba for the first time. And they had 4 sons. 2 of the sons refused to go back as long as Fidel Castro was still alive and in charge. And 2 of the sons wanted to go back because they wanted to see Cuba through the eyes of their parents. And they feared if their parents passed away, they'd never see the land the way their parents saw it. So what fascinated me about that story was that years, even decades after the revolution ended in Cuba, that Fidel Castro was still dividing families. And so I picked this family to follow and fell in love with one of the sons. And he's now my husband.
Oh, wow.
2 kids and 2 dogs, and just we've
But
adopted.
Cuba Undercover is a fictional piece,
It is a
right?
fictional
But it's
piece, but
inspired
it was inspired by that love story. So I went to Cuba on assignment, met my husband, and not only fell in love with him, but fell in love with Cuba. I mean, I really loved the country. And it, at the time, was a place that most Americans didn't have access to. So it was kind of one of the last mysterious lands. Things are changing now, which is kind of an interesting story. But so that's what I based the story on, was this friction between the United States and Cuba and families in Cuba and America, and built a love story around it. But the interesting thing is that as I was writing it and finished it and sold it, and I was editing it, that's when all these changes started happening. And I was telling my publisher, we have to get this book out because pretty soon there's going to be a bridge from Key West to Havana. And, all the tension in my story is gone. But really, if you read the book, what it does is it gives you insight into a land before all the changes have started to occur that many of us would not have any chance to see. I mean, my husband was from a small town outside of Havana, and I got to visit that small town. And I sent my daughter back there when she was like 9, and I mean, she just couldn't believe what a different world it was. They don't have Target, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when they play baseball, it's with a stick.
They're still fixing the same
right.
cars they bought in the 50s and 60s.
Yes,
Same old cars on the roads. Yeah.
They don't have running water.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they do, it's cold.
Yeah.
So you take a cold shower every day. And she came back a changed person with a greater appreciation of America and everything that we have here, even up in little old Lutz where we live, you know. And so I just have this passion for the country, and that's really where the story idea came from.
Yeah, I was going to ask you your opinions on the the recent changes with the Cuba, the talk of lifting the embargo and all this stuff. I mean, what is your since you have firsthand experience of being down there? I mean, what's your viewpoint on that?
Well, I don't think the embargo really successfully did what the government hoped, and I think there are still people suffering in Cuba. I mean, you would be surprised at the poverty there still today. So I'm all for humanitarian efforts to help people live a better life. And another thing that surprised me about when I went back to Cuba, which was a couple of years ago, the last time, they don't even have internet access in most places. And so they're really isolated.
They are. Which
may be why they just haven't reached out for a different government or a different way of living, because they don't know any different.
Now, I saw a photo recently on the internet, and it was a photo of the bay in Cuba, and somebody said, what's unique about this photo? And I thought for a second, there's no boats. They're right along the bay. They're prime waterfront. There's no boats. It's a completely different environment. Of course, I've never been, but
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And there's a scene in Cuba Undercover where you're standing across the bay looking at Havana, and from that point of view, it's the most beautiful city you've ever seen from a distance. Mm-hmm. It's just like something that belongs on the front of a tourist magazine. But when you get into Havana, you see the crumbling walls, and you see the the electrical wires all over the streets, and you see the old cars, and you see the people walking, in shoes that have holes in them, and so then you're really impacted by I call it beauty and decay. I mean, it's really beauty and decay, and I hate to see that, because it's such a unique city, and I hope that it does get rebuilt.
Yeah. Now, your book Cuba Undercover, where is it available for listeners?
On Amazon, on iTunes, Barnes and Noble. It's an ebook. But if you want a paperback, you can order it. It's more of a print on demand, though. You won't find it in a bookstore right now.
And was that your second book?
It was my second book.
Okay, because I see another book here. Was Alive at 5?
And this is how I came up with the idea for Alive at 5. I was sitting on the set with my co-anchor, Walt Macaborski, reading a story about an adventure vacation. And I turned to him and I said, wow, that would be a really cool background for a murder mystery. Because if people die doing risky things like jumping out of planes or swimming with the sharks, people are going to think, that's the risk you took, right? They're not going to see it as someone causing these accidents to happen. So that was really how I came up with that idea. And it showcases some fun places. Like if you read the book, Alive at 5, MacDill Air Force Base is in there, and Skydive City in Zephyr Hills. So you'll recognize a lot of local places. And the main character, we were talking about anxiety, she suffers from panic attacks. Mm-hmm. And she's a television news reporter who has to do live reports every day.
Right.
And so that's kind of her challenge, is part of her journey of that book is to get over the anxiety and the fear of, maybe not being perfect enough, not pleasing her boss, and not living up to everybody's expectations.
So how do you juggle the career? And are you still working in the news media right now? Are you on break from?
Let's call it a hiatus. I'm not old enough to retire, so
I didn't think I'd seen you recently on the television set. So
I'll be going back to work, but not for a while.
But how do you juggle the career between an author and a TV reporter? Because you're doing this when you're
very hard. Yes, I wrote both of those books while I was working full time, and I have kids at home and a husband who likes to see me. And
you mentioned at one point you say you adopted and then you stopped.
Yes, he is a relative of my husband's, and he came over on a raft from Cuba, and he actually tried 3 times. On the 3rd time he made it and called us from Miami, and he just recently, a couple of months ago, became an American citizen, and now he's going to join the Coast Guard. So I'm really proud of him.
Amazing.
But we adopted him right into our family.
So you didn't know he was coming?
No, I know,
course,
and we didn't know he failed twice. He tried to come one time, the Cuban Coast Guard got him, and one time the American Coast Guard did. And so I think it's interesting that now that's what he wants to do with his life. He wants to join the Coast Guard and help people like himself on their journey. But going back to talking about how you do it all, which is kind of one of the things I'm going to talk about at the Working Women Conference, I just found that if it's something you're really passionate about doing, you find the time. I have friends that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and write before they go to work. And I have other friends who stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning and write after. And I would kind of do both of that. And then when I was in high school, I used to carry around a notebook and I would just jot down things whenever I had the time. Well, now I carry around a laptop. And you'll see me at my kids' soccer game. It takes an hour for them to warm up. I'm not going to write during the game, but that hour that they warm up, I'll be writing. And people will walk by and they'll be like, you're always working. And I'm like, yeah, but if you love what you do, it's not work. It's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I found the time. You know,
how much time did you put into each book? I mean, what was the total labor hours, I should say, in terms of?
No idea. Years. Years, absolutely.
Because there's everybody's out there who wants to be, including myself, you know, working on a book. I mean, what tips can you give to aspiring authors out there? You know, I mean, you just have to set aside a certain plan, a certain time of the day. I mean, is that how you did it to get the books done?
Yeah, you do have to have a plan. And you have to have the support of your family as well. But I would also say you have to learn the skills. Like in the beginning, I had the desire. I wanted to be the great American novelist, but I didn't have the skills. Now, and I'm an Emmy award-winning reporter, so I know how to write and I know how to tell people stories, but I didn't know how to structure a novel. I didn't know plot points. I didn't know how to develop a character's arc and all of those things. And you have to learn that to write a book that people are going to want to read because they have expectations just like a movie. So you go to writers' conferences, you network with groups like Working Women. I joined a group called the Tampa Area Romance Authors, and they have a meeting every month, and they bring in agents, and they bring in New York Times best-selling authors to talk to you about what they did. They bring in people to talk to you about the business aspect of being a writer because it is a business. Then they bring in people that will teach you about the craft of writing. And so I've been doing this for 10 years, so it takes a while.
Did you always know that you wanted to write even as a young schoolgirl, or were you a writer back then?
I did. I wrote a book in high school. I still remember the name. It was called Forever Autumn, and I believe it was probably a romance. I don't remember anything else, high school romance. I'm sure it was awful. But I did, even back then, I had the desire. And when I saw some of my friends from high school not too long ago, they said the image they had of me was that I always had that notebook. I guess I kind of looked like the geeky cheerleader because, I did all those fun things, but I always had the notebook stuffed under, and I would always be in a corner sometimes, in my own head, just kind of in my own world, writing down details of my book.
Yeah, well, very inspirational. Got to take a quick break. Currently talk with Linda Bond, author of Cuba Undercover, as part of our Working Women Wednesdays feature of That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Have you considered a reverse mortgage as part of your retirement financial plan? For homeowners age 62 or older, a reverse mortgage from Access Reverse Mortgage is a safe, economical way to turn your home's equity into cash or monthly income. Access Reverse Mortgage is a family-owned company based right here in the Tampa Bay area for the past 10 years. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau and Florida's leading reverse mortgage provider. Call 727-347-0305 or go to accessreverse.com to start your research today. NMLS number 4566. That's 727-347-0305. 0305.
Are you looking for a local real estate firm that knows the market and has your interests in mind? Then contact Jim McPeak at McPeak Real Estate Firm, a family-owned business whose agents have over 60-plus years of experience in the Tampa Bay market. Many of the agents are military veterans that know the VA process for buying a home and are proud to help our military members in any way they can. From residential to commercial real estate, McPeak Real Estate Firm is here to help. Contact Jim at 813-495-3875 and learn more at McPeakTeam.com.
Help promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 Wins WHNZ to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where he promotes what is right with our community and highlights the successes of our entrepreneurs. Show contributor openings also available. You can learn more about the show and how to become part of this growing network at TampaBayRadio.com. Tune in weekdays at 8 a.m. to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Maloney of That Business Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the Bright House Network's Traffic Center.
Northbound 275 in St. Petersburg, very slow from downtown St. Pete through 54th Avenue North. Crash off to the side there. US 19 northbound direction also seeing significant delays through St. Petersburg. Crash being cleared southbound Keene near Rosary. Also one at Park Boulevard and Seminole over in Tampa. One along westbound Hillsborough Avenue at Armenia. Very slow traffic now from 275. See traffic problems, call the injury firm of Abraham, Son and Uterick. Hillsborough traffic tip line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Subway.
Subway is bringing some big flavor for summer with the cool and refreshing new Fuse Half and Half Fresh Brewed Iced Tea, the perfect blend of iced tea and lemonade, plus the delicious new turkey and bacon guacamole, only this summer and only at Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Today, just a 20% chance of showers and storms, high 91. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 79. Tomorrow, a 20% rain chance, high 90.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Again, weekday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ, a business variety show. A little something different each and every morning as I talk to different business owners, entrepreneurs, political and community leaders about what they're doing to make a difference in and around the Tampa Bay region. Also, it's Wednesdays. This is our weekly Working Women Wednesdays feature brought to us by the Working Women of Tampa Bay Networking Group. Learn more about the organization at workingwomenoftampabay.com, and also the upcoming conference, which is being held tomorrow and the 11th at the Strauss Center. 10 tickets left. Visit workingwomenconference.com to pick up those tickets and use promo code Maloney 2015 for 10% off of those tickets. Currently talk with author Linda Bond, author of her recently released a book, Cuba Undercover, and you also had released the other book, Alive at 5, correct? So that was your second book. But tell me the story of how you first got published, that first time of, realizing, hey, I'm really going to be an author.
Which I never thought would happen. I think I have a book of rejections, honestly, that's longer than my first book that was published. That's the truth. So I would encourage people not to give up. Really, that's the first key. It's the people that succeed are the ones that never stop trying. Mm-hmm. You just don't give up. But I also would encourage people to think out of the box and to take a risk every once in a while. So I joined a group called Romance Writers of America, which is kind of like Working Women. It's a network of women that help each other. And I went to their national convention. And as part of that convention, they allow you to pitch to one New York editor and one New York agent, but only one. So I did my pitches, and I thought they went well, and then I came back out, and a friend who I had met networking, like we all do, said, why don't you do this? Just take a chance and sit in this room and wait, because a lot of people get scared, and they chicken out, or they've been published, or a million things could happen. So they don't show up for their slot. And these agents and editors are just people. They don't want to sit there for 10 minutes, so they'll hear your pitch. So I did. And I got to pitch to maybe 5 or 6 other agents and editors, and one of them was for a relatively new publisher called Entangled. I describe them as kind of like the Harlequin of today. They do mostly romance, but they do young adult and some thrillers too. And the editor loved my book, which was great, but I wasn't overly excited because at that point, again, I had so many bites. It was like being on Lake Yellowstone when they stocked the fish with trout, so the lake with trout. So I knew that didn't mean I was going to be published, but it was encouraging. So I went home. And about 3 months later, I get an email from another woman who's a New York Times bestselling author that I've read before, and I loved her. And she said, I love your book, Alive at 5, and I'd love to publish it, but you're going to have to cut it. And I'm thinking, well, how did you get it? You were the editor I met. Right. But that kind of happens in publishing houses. They pass it to someone else. I said, yes, of course. I would have climbed Mount Everest for her at that point. I would have done whatever. So I said, yes, I'll edit the book. I had no idea what that entailed. It was like,
did you do it yourself, or did you hire a professional editor?
No, she edited it.
She
with
edited
me.
it. Okay.
She's in New York, so she would give me suggestions and then say, "Go do it." But I literally had to cut like 20,000 words out of this book.
Wow.
So it was, it was a rewrite, and I had to do it starting at like 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and I just would sit in that chair until like midnight because I worked Monday through Friday, and there was no time as a television news reporter to write or edit a book during the day. So it really challenged my desire to become a published author, I guess, what it took to get that first book out. But there's nothing like holding it in your hands and just being able to say I did it.
What component to the book do you think that attracted the publisher, or is there just a demand for romance thrillers such as Alive at 5, Cuba Undercover?
Well, I think there's a voracious appetite for romantic thrillers. Women love to read these books, but I think maybe what attracted them was that this is a book that men enjoy too. There is romance in it, but There's a lot of testosterone in this book. You got guys jumping out of planes, swimming with the sharks. It's an adventure vacation as the background. And if you go on Amazon and you read the reviews, there are men who have read it and liked it. And so I'm kind of pleased to have opened the door maybe to the romance genre to men, just to let them know that it's not all historical bodice-ripping, books, that this one is very current and there's a lot of things that men would like too.
Do you have another book coming up, maybe? Do you have an idea for
As a
something?
matter of fact, I'm working on a book called Live Shot. You see, they all have kind of that television theme. This is a medical thriller because for 20 years I was a medical reporter as well. And it basically is, the premise is people start turning up in this doctor's ER with flu-like symptoms and then dying. And one of the patients that died was the best friend of a reporter, an investigative reporter in town. And so together they have to try to figure out whether it's a killer shot or a killer calling the shots and stop it before more people die. But I'm also working on a book with my 11-year-old, which has been really fun.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
A middle grade book, kind of an action adventure, very little on the romance since they're 11.
What's the plot or the synopsis of that one?
The Last Scavenger Hunt. And we like to camp. We have an RV, so we go out camping. So when she wanted to write a book on the zombie apocalypse, but I don't know anything about zombies. So I said, can we pick something we both know a little bit about? So camping. So the basis of this is they go on a field trip at school, and everything you've ever feared would happen to you on a camping trip happens to these kids. And then one of their friends goes missing, and it becomes a mystery. They have to solve what happened to her while fighting Mother Nature and spiders and bears and all the things that, creep you out about going camping. And she's having a good time with it.
I don't know what it is about the zombies, but the younger generation, they love the zombies. I don't know. When I was a kid, we didn't talk too much about zombies.
Too gory for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the Walking Dead show that's done it or something. But yeah, every time I turn around, some youngster is talking about the zombie apocalypse, and that's funny that you just brought that up in that story and everything. So if you had a choice, I mean, what do you love more? Do you love being an author or on the television set as a medical reporter?
Great question. I love both because really, if you think about it, my job is to tell stories all day, every day, and that's awesome. I want to go back into TV because it's an amazing platform to do good. The stories I tell can actually help people. I got one woman that helped to get her a life-saving drug that wasn't available yet, and she lived 4 more years because of it. That kind of platform is just so great, and I really don't want to stay away from it for too long. So I am going to go back, and I'll start juggling again, like the circus clown. The balls will be up in the air as they were before. But again, if you love what you do, then it's not really work, and I really love what I do.
And you're going to be a speaker at the upcoming conference, the Working Women Conference. We've mentioned that a number of times throughout today's show, again, being held tomorrow and the 11th at the Straw Center. Real quick, what are you going to be talking about at the conference again?
I'm going to be talking about don't stop believing. A lot of people ask me some of the questions you asked me this morning. How do you have a full-time job and kids and do charity work and become a published author? And the journey was difficult. It was a difficult road to get there. And so I'm going to kind of outline the steps of what I did in practical terms so that you can apply it to anything, not just being a published author, but any kind of dream job. I could ask you guys, is this your dream job or is this just, what you're doing to pay the bills? A lot of people would like a chance in their life to pursue their dream job.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about how you do that and still pay the bills.
No.
Sounds good.
Great discussion. Linda Bond, author of Cuba Undercover and also Alive at 5. And you can learn more about her and her books at lindabond.com. And you can pick all these up at Amazon, correct?
Right. Or from my website, either place.
All right. Great discussion again, Linda Bond. Thank you very much for being in studio today, part of our Working Women Wednesdays feature.
Thank you.
And also thank you to Tracey Metzger, Executive Director and co-founder of For the Girls International, who was on the first segment. And as always, thank you to Jessica Ravelli, CEO and founder of the Working Women of Tampa Bay Networking Group, who helps me out each and every Wednesday with Working Women Wednesdays. Learn more about her and her organization, workingwomenoftampabay.com. And be sure to visit workingwomenconference.com and pick up one of those last 10 tickets and use promo code Maloney2015 for 10% off of those tickets. I'll see you all back in here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on That Business Show with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.